This episode is brought to you by the Communicore Weekly web store, where you can find all of our amazing t-shirts and music. Check it out at CommunicoreWeekly.com, the greatest online store.
Communicore Weekly, come on and get geeky. We bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly, you might get some freaking. You waited all week, I'm sure you already know that it's the greatest online show.
Well, howdy, all Communicore cadets, and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show. I'm George.
And I'm Jeff, and I was a little thrown off there. That's a new one.
Yeah, I tried, we'll try to use the greatest online show caught on, so I figured, hey, we'll try Communicore cadets.
Hey,
See
that
if
works.
that catches on.
I mean,
and after that catches on, it'll be George is Emperor.
what
So-
can we after that? Can we try send George and Jeff $5 from your parents' wallet?
Ooh, that's even better.
That'll be a good one.
So it's not so subliminal messaging or messages?
It's very direct. Give us your money messaging.
Okay.
We can't get in trouble for that if we're honest, right?
No, especially if we're honest, we're going to use the money to make trips to Disney World and Walt Disney World and Disneyland, you know?
So it works out pretty well.
And we were honest, we're not going to lie.
Or other theme parks like I did not too long ago.
Yeah, I heard a rumor about this and saw some weird photos.
We should probably talk about it then.
Ooh, let's go on a trip report then?
Let's go on a trip report.
Step, jump, and skip. We took a trip, and this is our trip report.
So, as one of my last official acts of living New Jersey, I went to Six Flags Great Adventure, which has been my local theme park for years, since I've been born, considering it's 20 minutes down the road from me, so I figured I had to go one more time before I left.
But you've been there before, right?
Many, many times. I used to have season passes for pretty much every year, and I haven't gone actually in like the last 3 or 4 years now. But Gary from Kingdomcast and John Hopkins and Tim, formerly of Fan Boys, were going. We made a little group trip of it, so we all went and we experienced it together, and it was a mess.
Wait a minute. Okay, was the meetup a mess or the park was a mess?
No, the meetup was fine. It was the park that was. I guess we're so used to. Granted, we complain about how Disney maintains things.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but then when you step foot into Great Adventure, it is I don't even have a word to describe it. It makes you really appreciate the stuff that goes on at Disney, because it was gross. I mean, and it's still early in the season. It was April, the middle of April, and the park's not even really open for the summer yet, and it was just disgusting, and everything was falling apart, and it hasn't been maintained properly in years, so it was kind of upsetting to see the park like that.
Interesting. So you've seen a definite decline.
I mean, as far as I can remember, maybe I'm looking back on with those rose-tinted glasses. I don't remember it being that bad before, but it was pretty horrific. Even like the main logo when you walk in, that's painted on the ground, was chipped and peeling and falling apart, and I didn't understand it. Granted, it's a thrill theme park, and you're going for the awesome roller coasters, because you can't deny that the roller coasters are awesome. But you're not getting the same level of quality theming that you would get at a Disney park. You're not getting the quality overall that you would get at a Disney theme park. It was a mess. It was decrepit, and it was kind of depressing, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you are coming at it from a different eye, probably, than even a few years ago. After working with Rolly to publish the book, it's kind of a cute story. Best book of 2012. Pick the copy up now. And
Awesome plug, by the way.
I tried to get that in as quickly as I could before you stopped it. But looking at Disney parks, not from an insider's point of view, but as a critic, with a critical eye now, like we do, it changes pretty much anything and anywhere you go.
We were all saying that too. I mean, I think Gary said he hadn't been there in like 2 years too, and that was before he started doing his podcast, Kingdomcast. So we were all looking at it in that light, and it was just striking to see how different we see things now. And one of the other things that really struck me was we were just on Kingdomcast not too long ago talking about corporate sponsorships in the park.
I was going to ask you about that because I saw some of those photos.
Get that picture that I sent you. The difference between a Disney corporate sponsorship and a Six Flags corporate sponsorship is striking. They throw it in your face nonstop. Like at the end of every single ride we were on, when you would be able to understand the person as you were getting out of the roller coaster, it would be, make sure you go on this ride, this ride, this ride. Also, upgrade your season pass. Also, use your Discover card to save 5%. Also, buy some M&Ms. Also, do this. And we're like, whoa. Really, and we're not, like, I'm not joking. It was literally after every single ride we went on, no matter what roller coaster, what lame other ride we went on, every single one, I guess they're trained just to say those things. And there's gigantic ads in the queues of these rides for all sorts of crazy stuff, like, I don't know, Tostito knockoffs, or I don't know. It was really, really bizarre. It didn't really fit in with the rest of the quote-unquote theme.
Yeah. It was pretty odd because it was almost on the side of one of the roller coasters.
Yes.
That was by Kia, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was an IKEA... not IKEA. A Kia... Oh my god, that'd be weird.
I don't want to ride an IKEA roller coaster.
I don't want to ride it, no. How do you put this together? I don't understand the directions.
Then you can ride it.
It was a Kia Soul. It was like a sticker put on the side of all the cars for El Toro, which is based on nothing to do with a Kia Soul. So it was really weird. And then inside the Skull Mountain queue, there was a big ad for the Tostitos thing. Also, waiting in line for Skull Mountain, by the way, they were playing Haunted Mansion music, and when we were walking through the boardwalk area, where all the tacky boardwalk games are, they were playing Yo-Ho Yo-Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me. So it was really, really weird to have all that stuff.
How much money? I wonder how much they paid for the license to that.
$0.0. That's how much.
It's called a record drop. It's called a needle drop. So one of the things that we talked about that day and later was the fact that our friend Gary from the Kingdomcast had an accident with a young child on the People Mover and lost both of his legs.
I'm not laughing because of the accident. I'm laughing because that's the story that Gary tells everyone.
Oh yeah, the story.
That's not what really happened. It's just a great story. It's a
great story.
He didn't go on the People leg remover. Don't worry. No,
but so he doesn't have legs. He has prosthetic legs that he uses. He doesn't care. He'll walk around the parks and with kids say something, he go, "Yeah, I'm half animatronic." He's got a great sense of humor about it. But apparently, they've got some ADA problems at the Six Flags.
Yeah, it's just to backtrack a little bit. He it's below his knee, so he only has partial prosthetics for the bottom half of his leg. So ADA rules. It's a law that it has to be on the sign before you get on every attraction what the rules are for it. So we would look at every single one, and the people running the rides would almost get into a fight with Gary for every single roller coaster we were on, even though he was clearly in the right of the rules. I would say most of the time we wound up getting on the ride. Gary was out on the ride, no problem. There was one ride where we had to get the manager, and Gary was arguing with him, and Gary was like, I don't think you're familiar with the rules. And the manager was like, no, we're familiar with the rules. We try to update our signs. We update them to reflect the new rules every year as much as possible. And we're looking at the sign that he's standing next to that has the rules on it, and it hadn't been touched in like 2-3 years. You can clearly see it by how it looks. So I gotta commend Disney, even though all their rides at Disneyland were shut down not too long ago. I gotta commend them on keeping up with their ADA guidelines and laws.
What was the problem? Because if Gary had been wearing pants, well, let me rephrase that. Gary was wearing shorts.
He was wearing shorts.
Obviously from the knees down. He had prosthetic
legs. We
legs.
even said, buy sweatpants and you won't have a problem. Clearly.
Wait a minute, that's what the manager said?
No, that's what we said to Gary.
Oh,
but then we would get on a ride. We would, he would take the prosthetic off. We'd put it off to the side, and that's when we would have the problem because they would be like, oh, hang on a second, So the problem was that they weren't really sure themselves about what the laws or what the rules were. Gary was in the right, they were in the wrong. They just automatically assumed no, just because of the leg thing. But thankfully
That's
it worked out
a
in the end.
huge danger having somebody with no legs on a ride.
I can understand, one of the main rules is not having the prosthetics on during the ride for most of them, which I can understand because you don't want them to come off and injure someone. But I don't think they understood what they were talking about half the time. So thankfully it all worked out okay. But yeah, it made me really miss Disney parks.
Yeah,
I had a good time. I had a great time with them. I had a great time on the roller coasters. We went on all the coasters in the park. But yeah,
Do they have anything similar to My Magical Plus Fast Pass bands around your neck type thing?
They have Discover Card where you save 5% inside the theme park.
If you buy M&Ms.
If you buy M&Ms.
While driving your Kia Soul.
Yes,
around the park.
Excessive advertising. So,
advertising.
Goodbye, Six Flags, great adventure. Probably won't ever see you again, but I will see Magic Mountain, so we'll see how that goes in a couple of months.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
I talked about Van Arsdale France's memoir a few weeks ago, Windows on Main Street. It's a great book from the founder of Disney University with some fantastic stories about Disneyland's early years. I was contacted by Doug Lipp about his new book called Disney U, How Disney University Develops the World's Most Engaged, Loyal, and Customer-Centric Employees. And that's another contender for the longest title.
We've had a couple of those lately.
We've had a few of those. So, well, Doug and I started talking about his new book, and I was excited to hear that Doug had worked directly with Van. And the book not only talked about Disney University and the training that cast members go through, but also it provided a look at Van and how he shaped the company and his own life. Now, the book itself, it's a business book. It's geared towards people that are running their own business or have training programs. And the book has 13 lessons that the business owners, nonprofits, or even individuals can learn from and apply to their own businesses, training, and actually themselves. And it's ideal for any corporate training program or for anyone who's trying to start a training program like our Communicore Cadet training program that we want to start.
It's like space camp.
It's like space camp, yeah.
But cooler.
Like with Leia Thompson, though, when we get stuck in outer space.
Okay, I'll take that.
Space camp? Okay, well, I went the young Leia Thompson. Not the one. Well, anyways. Okay, so jumping back, at the end of each lesson or each chapter in the book, Doug offers thoughts on applying Van's 4 circumstances, which are innovate, support, educate, and entertain, which, of course, we at Communicore Weekly provide all 4 of those every week.
Yes, we do.
Because we're awesome. Anyway, and the section afterwards relates directly to the lesson and summarizes and offers questions for thought. I really enjoyed the anecdotes that Doug provided. He shares stories of Van France and Tom Eastman and many others that were essential to Disney University. It's one of the few places that the history of the Disney Training Department is provided. It's also one of the few books that documents the importance of Van France and the Disney Company. And one of my favorite anecdotes dealt with cultural differences. When they were opening Tokyo Disneyland, because Doug was on the opening team for Tokyo Disneyland University, the amazing janitorial staff, they were all hired from other occupations. They'd worked in hospitals, so they knew how to clean. They actually completely cleaned up the mansion before opening because they were told to clean the mansion, and their understanding of clean was different from what Disney wanted the mansion to be cleaned. So Doug recounts how they actually had to fly the artists back the moment they landed in the States to redo the cobwebs and all the dust to get the mansion opened on time. Because, hey, got to have dust in there. So a little background about Doug. He worked for many years at Disney and the Walt Disney Studios. He developed the first international Disney University with Tokyo Disneyland and also led the training team at the Disney Company. And currently, he consults with several Fortune 500 companies and travels the world speaking about Disney and the Disney University. It's a fun book. It's an enjoyable read. I was surprised, the way he puts the anecdotes in there. It never seemed boring or too over the top. And, I think Disney fans will enjoy it just for the stories about Van Arsdale.
Yeah, there
and
was a
Disney
lot of good
University.
little insights in there too. I thought, I don't own a small business or a business of any kind, but I still got a lot out of the book from his anecdotes and the learning how to, run these sort of training programs. So it was really interesting, I thought.
Yeah, it was good. The we'll jump into this long title again so I can repeat it at the end. It's called Disney U: How Disney University Develops the World's Most Engaged, Loyal, and Customer-Centric Employees by Doug Lipp with 2 P's.
What we liked, what we didn't like, gays in the booze. 60-second review.
So you might wonder why we're reviewing Lincoln on Blu-ray. It was a DreamWorks production, so before you guys start turning over in your Communicore spaceships, all the DreamWorks films, Blu-ray, that sort of thing, are actually distributed by Disney. So there's a corporate tie. But also, Disney Educational Programs or Productions has donated DVD copies of the film and a teaching guide called Stand Tall, Live Like Lincoln to more than 37,000 secondary schools in the United States. So it's pretty impressive. That's a lot of free DVDs. So we both got review copies of it, and we wanted to review it for you.
Yeah, because it's a great movie. And aside from that stuff too, it also has other Disney ties, obviously, because of great moments with Mr. Lincoln and how Walt admired Abraham Lincoln. But the movie itself, I actually saw it in the theaters, and I loved it. I'm a big history buff to begin with, and I thought it was fantastic. And I really enjoyed how it focused not on Lincoln's entire life, but on a very specific part of his life when they were trying to pass the 13th Amendment. And I thought it was a great story.
It's like the last 4 or 5 months of his life. It was pulled out from a book. I can't remember the title. Yikes, that's bad, but it wasn't a Disney book. I thought it was fantastic. My oldest, my 14-year-old, went with his entire 8th grade class to go see it in the theaters as part of the history. And he came back.
Was it like a field trip?
It was a field trip.
That's awesome.
They took him on an activity bus and took him to movie theater. They each got a popcorn and a soda. It was great. But he came back raving about the film. So it was absolutely fantastic. He enjoyed it. They laughed. He learned a lot. So we were looking forward to it. Of course, the 9-year-old gave it about 20 minutes. He was like, bleh.
Not a movie for 9-year-olds. No.
That's okay. We really enjoyed it. Thought it was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. And it was amazing to think, as historically accurate as it can be, that they had that much political intrigue and machinations going on, back then. That it was almost like it is today. Just with people moving behind the scenes and trying to get, bills passed and things with, it was interesting.
Yeah. So. And you know what? The movie itself, I think, will be one of those ones that kind of stand the test of time, and it'll be used as an educational tool as well years down the line, just because it's a really important time in the nation's history as well, and this really tells the story really, really, really well.
Yes, it does. I mean, Spielberg does a great job with historical tales, and the actors were amazing because it's sort of like we always say with Johnny Depp. He loses himself in a role, and you forget you're watching Johnny Depp. Well, with all these characters, including Sally Field, you forgot who they were.
Yeah, they all lost themselves in the roles, I thought.
And in some points, you're looking at it going, wait a minute, is that James Spader? Wow. He let himself go. It was like, okay. But, my only complaint is I didn't like his voice. He needed to sound like Royal Dano.
Oh, gosh.
So, but, historically it ties in well, like you said, with what Disney's done with great moments with Mr. Lincoln, Liberty Square, the Hall of Presidents. You're right, like Disney's fascination with Abraham Lincoln, and most people, have had an obsession with him or really enjoyed what he is. So
yeah, exactly. And the Blu-ray features, the extra features were actually really cool too. They're split up into sections, but watching them all together is like watching one long documentary about the making of the film. And again, coming from a movie background, I'm always on board with these features, especially ones that go as in-depth as these do. I thought it was great. I loved seeing how they actually used some real government buildings to film for the film, and they recreated one to make it look like the White House, and I thought it was fantastic. I will definitely be watching this again in the future, probably near future too, because it was a great flick.
Well, you can watch it on your drive and just watch it on the Blu-ray in the back.
So somebody's going to pay attention to the road.
Oh, you got GPS, right?
Well, GPS ain't going to drive the car for me. We're not that advanced yet.
You don't have a Google car?
Not yet.
Drive yourself?
I'll drive straight to Google, and I will ask them to purchase it for me.
Well, that's not a bad. Say, hey, tell them you're Jeff from Communicore Weekly.
And then they'll be like, get off my property.
You stupid kids.
How do we go from Lincoln to Google?
I have no idea. But I thought the film was fantastic. I enjoyed it. I agree with you. I would watch it again and recommend it. I've told all my friends and family they need to watch it as well. I thought it was a great film.
Exactly. So go pick up a copy today.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a five-legged goat.
So like I mentioned earlier, sometimes we go to other theme parks.
What?
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes those theme parks have direct references to more successful theme parks. And this is one of those times, because when I walked into Six Flags Great Adventure, I saw the Liberty Square. Not Liberty Square the land, but the literal interpretation of the Liberty Square. On the side of a building on their main street, it was a big wooden square with a sign over it that said Liberty Square.
So it was just a square?
Just a square with the sign Liberty Square over it, with literally nothing else around it that had anything to do with Liberty Square.
Well, I think it's time we opened up our own theme park then.
And just have references to other more successful theme parks.
We can have the Liberty Square, the Adventure Land. Huh.
The New Orleans Square.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
I don't know. The Tomorrowland.
Because you never quite get there. It's always tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always
that's
a dream away.
People should come and we'd be like, oh, sorry, it's not open until tomorrow. It's Tomorrowland.
Until tomorrow.
And then when they come back, we're like, no, tomorrow. It's open. It'll be open tomorrow. That's how we get them to keep coming back.
Ooh, and pay more.
Exactly. Why are we not in charge of our theme park? We'd make a lot of money and a lot of enemies.
Yeah, I was going to think, making more enemies is probably what we do.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. Scratch that idea.
That's okay. Well, we've made it to the end of another episode. So everybody, thanks for watching or listening, however you digest Communicore Weekly.
Hopefully it goes down smoothly. But be sure to leave us a comment and rate us on the iTunes. Let us know that you enjoy the show.
And how much you enjoy it. Like, give us like 9 stars or something like that.
Can you give 9 stars?
I don't know.
I've actually not been on the rating system in a while.
Maybe we should call and make sure they do it just for us.
Okay. Only our show can get 9 stars.
Yeah. So if you can't give us 9 stars, you can always email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com and tell us you want to give us 9 stars.
Just the subject should be 9 stars, and then there doesn't have to be anything in the body of the email.
And we just say, 9 stars. And we'll know how much.
Or send us a picture of 9 stars. That way you were literally giving us 9 stars.
Ooh.
That'd be kind of funny if somebody did that. Anyway, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Communicore Weekly.
Yep. And follow us both on Twitter. We haven't yet figured out how to make one Twitter profile, so we're still working with 2. It's odd, but that's okay. I'm at Imaginerding, and he's at Jeff Heimbuck.
Double the snark that way.
Double the snark. That's the way it is. Double the snark. So for Jeff Heimbuck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff Heimbuck. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.
42.